I am live with David E. Westbrook, author, and we are talking here today about his second coming book, the new work that he's been putting his heart and soul into. And I'm honored to be here with my brother, and you are tuned in.
Tales of Aver Nes, Book 2, The Silent, Chapter 1, Asylum 7. Rose sat up in her bed and listened to the sound of the rain in the dark. Loud and bright crashes of thunder and lightning illuminated the room, and for brief moments at a time allowed Rose to see the furnishings around her. 4 beds with sleeping girls lined the walls on the other side of the room, their occupants with the sleeping sound through the storm. On Rose's side of the rectangular room, 2 beds sat to her right. The owners tossed and snored over the constant tapping sound of the rain. Only 1 bed was to Rose's left, and it belonged to the only girl Rose considered a friend. The girl on the bed struggled to sleep against the crashing thunder. She tossed and turned every time the lightning struck. Rose never slept. She can recall maybe 3 hours at a time at most, but that was even a stretch. Rose rubbed her fingers over the scar on her shoulder and cried. The wound still hurt, and some nights Rose could feel the tip of Miss May's cane piercing her flesh again. This is how Rose spent most nights in Terrebonne Mental Institution. The days were filled with bad television, psychiatric evaluations, and constant interrogations. Activities that made Rose question her own sanity at times. However, the treatments, as the doctors like to call them, did not make Rose feel any better. Whenever she did sleep, Rose still had cryptic nightmares. Miss May's voice or the deaths of her friends replayed in her mind most nights. It had been almost a month since she had lost them in the swamps of Aver Nes. But there's so much like, compared to the first book, like that book has so many layers. The storyline has so many different layers, and I use so many different characters. Like I really wrote a book. Like I wrote a novel. I feel it. Like when I open it up and read it, I'm like, it's even more impressive to me now that I've been away from writing for a while, and I go back and I read where my mind was at when I actually put all of this down and whittle it and reread it and reread it and whittle it down to the point where I have this multi-layer, multi-directional story that all meets at the same unexpected point. Kill a lot of people, and I have fun with a lot of monsters, and I have a lot of interesting shit happens along the way, and you learn a lot about the different magics that I was telling you about. So, but I feel like with Rose Kincaid, I feel like I'm creating a character that's never been done before. Necromancer, but she's also a hoodoo queen. She's also a witch. Like she has all of those powers, like in one. Like she's like pure magic. Like she's like a conduit, like a 1 in a million person. She just absorbs magic. Why she was chosen in the book, and that's what sets her apart from everybody. But she has no idea that she has this ability. She's just brave as fuck. My cousin, Summer, and telling urban legends with all my cousins every summer, late into the night, watching horror films with my sisters when they had slumber party with their sports teams on the weekends, and they go to the video store and they rent every Friday the 13th and Freddy and everything, and they
So the classic
and they bring
legends.
all the classic horrors, and then and Vina had a subscription to Time Life Books, and she used to always get books in the mail like twice a month. she would get books in the mail, and she got all the Stephen King books. And the first big giant book that I ever read, I read The Stand, and it was big. It was like 1,000 pages. It was something stupid. But I read the whole fucking thing. I read The Stand, and then I liked The Stand so much that I read Needful Things, and then I liked Needful Things so much that I read Tommy Knockers, and then I read Thinner. And these are like the books that I read, not just watched the movie.
So you like Stephen
I
King?
watched the show. Yeah, I fell in love with Stephen King, and I always liked Edgar Allan Poe growing up. I liked his horror poems. Like we talked about the Telltale Heart, talked about the Raven. You know what I mean? I just like Halloween's my favorite season, and I love horror films.
Okay, so think about this. What is the most gruesome scene in your book?
The new one or the old one?
This one, let's say this one coming
up. The one that's written. I can know what some people will tell you. I know what I've been told. I can't say what I think is the most gruesome because I have so many different ways, and they're all pretty bad.
So who have told you that what made them?
So there's a scene in the first book, merry-go-round scene with the blind boys, and they take Tiffany and they tie her to the merry-go-round. I couldn't imagine. That's a good question. What is the most brutal kill that I've had? So 14, 15, 10 to 14-year-old boys.
Okay.
Do you think that was brutal?
Yes, that was brutal.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate that?
That's about it. Yeah, because there's so many brutal ways.
Okay.
If you compare brutalities.
Okay. So,
I play Mortal Kombat.
For me, it's not the gore or anything like that. It's the storyline. It's how well developed the characters are. It's how
yeah, absolutely. That's what
you care.
Character development.
You care about
your
the
plot,
people in this one.
Your climax, your.
The first book was a slasher. This is not a slasher. This is the novel.
Okay, so what do you think your style of writing is going to change about what we have already seen and witnessed out here with all these, great writers in horror, like Rob Zombie or Quentin Tarantino?
Well, I think it's a perspective. I think all those filmmakers and writers are talented. I love Rob Zombie. You know, I love Quentin Tarantino. I think a couple of his favorite movies, my favorite movies are Quentin Tarantino movies. Rob Zombie, Thousand Corpses.
So that means we're going to see your book come to film.
I feel like those things are bars. Those are thresholds. Those are like doors that need to be like surpassed and like kicked down and like push the envelope further than even what they did. And I'm doing it in a content of like I am. Right now, this series that I'm writing is heavily supernatural. It's heavily in the spiritual world. It's heavily in ghosts and creatures of fantasy. Vampires, there's werewolves, there's doppelgangers, there's ghosts, there's spirits, there's specters, there's marshlights, there's all kinds of
Your book is bringing this to the new front.
I am trying to bring back the buffet, the smorgasbord of not just one being or entity stalking a group one by one the entire time. This is a 1,000 Ways to Die in the West set in the supernatural realm. There's a lot of ways to die, and there's a lot of education in the supernatural world. Guns. So it's a whole different environment, but, you know, who's to say if you see a ghost that you're going to be afraid of a ghost? You know, you may look at the ghost and be like, oh, that was, you know, everybody in my family has seen a ghost. That kind of supernatural, that kind of unknown, that kind of shape-shifting flexibility the capabilities of the creatures in my book.
So where can the fans find your book?
Oh, well, they can just search Tales of Aver Nes, the shoe tree, D.E. Westbrook, and it's available on Amazon, Nook, Kindle, ebook, paperback. I really think that fans of true horror and gore and violence, but also with a good story,
Okay.
you know, there will be blood.
It's for those who
There will be blood.
want it. Y'all heard it straight from D.E. Westbrook, author on Dark Matter Readings. We are here to raise the frequencies and vibrations and to scare the. We bringing books.
Yeah, shout out to Dark Matter for having me too. Appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you for blessing us, your presence, and sharing to the people. And those who want to explore the dark side, don't be afraid of it. It is part of
Grab the book
you.
though.
Get that book.
Ain't that many black writers. There's me and that Peele nigga.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
There's some more now. No.
Black horror writers?
Horror? Oh, horror, yeah.
Yeah, black horror writers? Yeah, it's me and him right now, so.
Oh, y'all heard it. It's wide open and support, and we will come back again, because you're going to come back, and we're going to come back and return. And, once the book is released, because you got to release it. What's the release date?
Early 2021.
Early 2021, part 2. But in the meantime, go get part 1.